To answer your question, I'm glad to say that the last class of SeedCamp applicants in London 2011, which was just a few weeks ago, we had 2 Italian companies. We have Espinal IT, which you might be familiar with, and Blooming by Alberto D'Ottavia.
Okay.
Both great companies. And then on a personal note, at my previous job at Dowie Hansen, at early stage tech VC based in London, we were also investors in Mobango. So you might have known Fabio. But so yeah, I've definitely been exposed quite a bit to Italian startups, and maybe that's a good sort of segue into sort of what SeedCamp does. Maybe I can put a question out to the audience. How many of you have heard of SeedCamp? Because you started by referring to us a little bit as Y Combinator, so maybe it's a good question. How many of you know SeedCamp?
Quanti conoscono SeedCamp in sala?
Excellent. That's good to know. I think the parallel is a valid one. It's the same genre of accelerator. I mean, SeedCamp is a micro-seed investor. I think we differ in how we do a few things, but one of the things that we do differently is the investment size is a little bit bigger. We do 50,000 euros as an investment into the companies. We're also a year-long program, which is, again, a similarity with other programs. We invite the winners of our investment program to come with us to, for example, in March, to the US for a trip where we take them to Boston, New York, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, Austin, Seattle, and we introduce them to basically lots of corporates and lots of individuals within Microsoft, Google, Facebook. And also we introduce them to all the VC firms of the area. So we definitely try to bring exposure into the US, but at the same time we have a lot of exposure in Europe because a lot of the investments are done in Europe as well. And for example, we have a demo day as well, where companies come and pitch. We have an investor day where they get to spend one-to-one time with VCs. We have various mentors across every month there's a different mentor or a different topic of conversation, whether it be human resources, finance, how to make decisions on product development. So there's a lot of these things that we bring into the program as part of helping these companies grow from a seed stage to effectively an A round, a B round, or an exit. So I mean that's kind of what we do. And I think that maybe just to highlight a few of the companies that we've invested in, some of you, if you blog, you might have heard of Zamanta, which is a very useful blogging tool, Earthly. We invest in pretty much Europe and global. We do Eastern Europe, we did South Africa last year, we did Mumbai. So I think that's a key difference with some of the other programs in the sense that we definitely try to go for the global approach. And we also have the event where every company who gets accepted into the investment applicant pool gets to get value from day one. Even if they don't get investment, they still were able to attend an event where they met a lot of mentors and see a lot of other companies present so that they can learn from each other. So that's a quick summary about SeedCamp.
In synthesis,
if you look at any specific industry, it's going to have a specific appetite for acquisition. Right? Take software. Who are the big players in software? What are the acquisitions they've made? What are the typical average prices that they've exited at? So let's take a number. Let's say it's 100 million, right? If you take 100 million as the exit price, then you need to sort of discount how much a typical VC needs to make out of their investment if the company sells at 100 million, right? So we're looking at, usually you want to shoot for 10 million. 10 million, 10x. So we're talking 10 million is how much money the investors might put in aggregate for a 10x return. So if you work that way down, you
right, one second, I translate because I think this is very important. Lui dice, se devo avere un exit da 100 milioni, quindi alla fine mi compro.
I sort of get, it's important to know what industry the startup is in because that determines that 100 million. I picked 100 million as an example, but it's determined by the industry. So certain industries will only exit at 50 million, other ones will exit, 500 million. Why do social networks and some of these have such high valuations? It's because the values that some of them have reached is pretty high. But if you look at application companies, they tend to be a little bit lower. But I think the point I'm trying to make is the market, the ultimate consumer, the ultimate determinant of the value of the company is the acquisitors, right? They determine the value of the company, and you can average that out. You then have to work down the model of how a VC makes money, and they have to assume that their best company is going to make a 10x multiple. So you can factor that in. You work your way down, and you realize that in order for them to make their returns, they need to invest a certain amount of money, and they need to have a certain amount of percentage in order to achieve that. And that will determine the valuation of your business. So that's from the top down. From the bottom up, you take somebody like Steve Jobs, and he says, hey, I have an idea for you. And I think everyone here has said team is the most important thing. Now, Steve Jobs has something that most people do not have, is he's got a track record of 100% execution, right? So you say, okay, I have no idea what you're going to do, but I know that it's worth it. What do you want? You don't ask questions, you say, what do you want? And I think that that's the flip side.
I would love to be in that situation. I really, really would love it. Okay.